Hi, my name's Ed, and I'm with Spyker Spreaders. And today we're going to go over our 100-pound and 50-pound brand new winter spreaders. So this unit here is the 100-pound unit. It's the larger of the two. It holds 100 pounds of material, and the one to this side over here is the 50-pound. So today we're going to go over some of the features of the two units. They are all stainless steel. That is something that you need or want in a winter spreader because it's going to resist any corrosion. Because of the corrosive nature of the materials that you're spreading, stainless steel is always the best material that you want the frame to be made out of. If it's not, you won't get many years of service. So one of the biggest features that you can see on both of these units here is the variable deflector, the large yellow variable deflector. What is interesting about this design is that it does not need any tools to adjust it. So we can change this spreader from a broadcast spreader that will spread 12 feet wide to something that will only spread 3 feet wide for sidewalks in a matter of seconds. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now. You basically pull this out, sliding it up and putting it into place. So that fast, on the fly, you're able to make the change. So one of the other features that our product has is it has a stainless steel axle. Many of the other products that are on the market have a hollow axle. Ours is solid stainless steel. In addition to that, we have solid metal gears in the transmission. So no one else on the market has metal gears, and they also have a lifetime warranty. So if anything ever happens to those gears, the only thing you have to do is call up our customer service department. They'll send you out a new set and you can install them. One of the other features that we have is we have a greasable gearbox. You can see that Zerk fitting on the front. So the only thing you need to do is a few times a year, put some grease in there to make sure that those gears are lubricated correctly, and you'll have many years of service without any issues. We also have pneumatic tires. That's something that some of the manufacturers on the market do not have. Makes it very easy to push, you get good traction, and it makes the spreading of the ice melt very simple and very easy. One of the other features that we have with this product is that we have an adjustable handle height. By loosening this bolt right here and this bolt right here, these two bolts, you can adjust this handle height to accommodate users that are 5 feet 5 inches tall to 6 feet 3 inches tall. That'll keep that spinner totally level to make sure that you're maximizing the spread width. So that's a feature that's very beneficial depending on who's using it. So as you can see, we're actually having some snow here, and you can see the cover on the hopper is keeping the snow and keeping our material dry. If you want to make sure that you have a good cover to make sure that that material stays dried while you're using it, or else it'll start to clump up. So we have designed this cover to make sure that it's robust enough to keep everything dry, but at the same time, it's made for the winter. It's made with materials that are resistant to temperature changes and swings. So it's easy to remove. It has a tab right here with a loop, and you put your finger in there and you quickly pull it back, and then you can remove the cover. So you can see here that it's easy to remove, and then you can put your material inside. So, and it's easy to reinstall. What you want to do is install it one corner at a time until you get to the corner that has the tab. Is the last one you want to put on. And when you put that on, you put your finger through there, and then you just pull it down and it snaps right back on. No challenges there. I did it with my gloves on, which is nice. We made sure this loop was nice and large to get your finger in there while you're wearing gloves. Okay, so one of the features that we have with this deflector is that you can see that it's a very, very different shape compared to any other deflector that's on the market. It kind of looks strange in a way, but one of the challenges when you're trying to spread the material, you want to get an even spread onto the surface. So the way that the material comes off the spinner makes it important to have this strange shape here, the way that it looks. And we 3D printed this in the engineering department to make sure that we had the optimal design. We took some feedback from professionals that use these all the time to come up with a design that would work for them to make sure that it was going to spread the exact width that they wanted, and at the same time give them an even spread. The way that the material comes off of the spinner in this situation right here, the material is unimpeded, so the material is not going to strike the deflector at all. You can see that the deflector is higher than the spinner. That's going to give you your greatest dispersion, so it's going to go 12 feet wide. If I was to, and I will right now, adjust this down, you can see that the spinner is going to disperse the material, and it's going to strike this deflector in approximately this location. You can see that's the maximum deflection that you're going to get, and it's only going to go 3 feet wide. By moving this up and down, you change where the material will strike the deflector, and that's how you adjust the spread. As you can see here, the deflector is off center. That's done specifically for reasons that when the material comes off of the spinner, it tends to have more material come off on this side here compared to this side. So what we tried to do is make sure that we were giving an even spread of the material throughout the 12-foot wide path. Right now we're going to look at the differences between the two units, the 50-pound and 100-pound, and we'll start off here with the 50-pound unit. The 50-pound unit has a maximum opening of 7/16 of an inch, and you can see that opening there. And so that's acceptable for all different types of ice melt and rock salt. It's smaller than the 100-pound unit that you see on the other side here. The 100-pound unit has a much larger opening. You can see how large the opening is. So it's fully shut, and you can see now it's fully open. If you were to do or working in large areas that you needed to put down more material, the 100-pound unit has a much larger opening compared to the 50-pound unit. That's so we can put down more material, cover larger areas, and make sure you don't have to fill it up as many times. One of the other differences between the two units is how you adjust the gate opening. On the 100-pound unit, it's much different compared to the 50-pound unit. The 100-pound unit, you would close the gate, you would adjust this knob, loosen this knob here, and you would slide it to the position that is the opening that you want. Tighten up the knob, and now every time you open up the gate, it will open to the same spot. You can see that no matter what I do, it'll only open as far as that is set to. So you would adjust it specifically for the material you're using and how you're putting it down and what setting you have the deflector in. If you have the deflector in the lowest setting, you have to make sure that you close the opening to make sure that you're not putting down too much material on the sidewall compared to when you're broadcast spreading. So you have to make that adjustment when you change the deflector height. If the gate is all the way open in its maximum opening size, as you can see here, you may get striping, and that's putting down too much material on the left-hand side compared to the right-hand side. So if you do have that happen, make sure that you adjust it so the opening isn't as large. You're still going to get just as much material out to where you want it to be, but it's not going to be significantly heavy on the left-hand side compared to the right. So here you can see I adjusted the gate to only open about a third of the way. That would probably alleviate any issues if you were dropping too much material to the left side compared to the right. Again, it's dependent on the material you're using and a few other factors, but just explaining how you can adjust it to make sure that that doesn't happen. One of the other things that I wanted to point out here is that we have a blade agitator. This blade agitator is unlike any other on the market in the sense that it seems to be very aggressive. The reason that we can do that is because we have those metal gears that we talked about earlier. If you don't have the metal gears, you can't really have a good, very aggressive type of agitator like we have here, because that imparts a load on the gear system, and you don't want to strip those gears out if they're not made of metal. So because of those metal gears, we're able to have this very aggressive type of agitator. So if the material that you're using doesn't have a lot of chunks in it or is flowing freely, there's no need for you to use the agitator. You don't have to use it, and if you don't feel like using it, the only thing you have to do is pull out this hairpin cotter right here, and you can take it off and then install it back on whenever you decide that you need it in the future. Okay, so on the 50-pound unit, the way that the gate is adjusted is slightly different from the way that it was on the 100-pound unit. And you can see here, It's similar in this in the way that it operates in the handle area up here to open and close. When you want to adjust this one, it's done in such a way that you have to adjust a dial instead of the knob. So you can see here there's a dial. When you change this dial, it will only allow the gate to open a specific amount. It was maximum open before. Now we set it on about a 7, and you'll see that the difference in the opening is not as great. So it closed up the opening compared to being fully open. It's only about 2/3 of the way open at this point. So you'll set that dial to the material that you're using, what the deflector is set at, and how much material you want to put down for what you're using. So that's a little bit of a difference between the two. Each and every time that you open and close it, just like on the last one, will always open to that same spot. So one of the things that I didn't touch on yet is that one of the really important things about our gate mechanism is the solid rod linkage. The solid rod linkage allows you to make sure that it will always open and close. It's not covered, not closed and opened by a cable. It's closed and opened by a solid stainless steel rod. There's no cable involved. There's no cable to wear out or break or catch on something while you're transporting. It's in the back of your truck. So that's something that, you know, is extremely beneficial in this very challenging environment of, you know, snow removal and ice melt. So as you can see, we're getting some snow here today, and we're going to fill this up and set it for some sidewalks, and we're going to spread some salt and some ice melt. So here I'm going to adjust the deflector all the way down to the lowest setting. So I pull it out, slide it all the way down so it's in its lowest setting, and now we're going to fill it up with some ice melt, and let's get spreading.